and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
The sun goes down, the stars come out.
Hello, everybody. It's a Monday. Oh my gosh, it's almost the end of the year. I don't know how this happened so quickly. This is the Born to Talk radio show, and I'm your host, Marsha Wietecha, because conversations plus connections equals community, which is what Born to Talk is all about. And then if you add, what's your story? Not what's your story, but what's your story? Then you make for the mixture of what I consider to be a great informational, entertaining, inspiring show. And each week I have the privilege of having new guests in the studio. Sometimes I have returning guests. In this case today, I have two brand new guests, and I'd like to introduce them to you now. So we've got Mark Wire. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And Stephanie Sampson, welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you bet. Now, what the two of you have in common is where you work. Turns out that you work just if you could really throw a baseball a long distance, we could almost hit the north runway of LAX. We are so close. Luckily, we are in an old movie theater. Maybe you knew that or not, but this Paradise Building used to be the movie theater in Westchester when I was growing up, because I've always lived here. And the airport really is, the north runway is probably less than a mile away from us as we speak. They have to get by In-N-Out Burger first. But anyway, so, but you're both involved in the LAMP program. You're the director of communications, Mark. Stephanie, you're the PR person. And I thought we could just get the definition of LAMP out of the way so that from this point forward, we'll call it LAMP. But maybe you could tell us, what does LAMP stand for, Mark?
Well, it's a government acronym that stands for the Landside Access Modernization Program. Essentially, what we're doing is building a people mover that connects our terminal area at LAX with a consolidated rent-a-car facility and the much anticipated connection with Metro.
Okay.
So that's essentially what it is.
Terrific. Well, we're going to be talking quite a bit about that today, but I thought before we really get into the subject matter of what's going on at the airport, Mark, could you just tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself, where you're from, just a little bit about you?
Absolutely. So I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, and then
Cardinals.
And then ended up relocating out to LA and went to school at Loyola Marymount University. So
really,
I'm very familiar with this area.
Of course you are. What did you get your degree in at LMU?
Political science and history.
Wonderful. All right.
And then went on to work there as well as go to their law school. And
at Loyola Law School?
At Loyola Law, yes.
No kidding.
Been very much entrenched in Loyola. And
yes, indeed.
That's a very close neighbor to LAX and to the show. And then ended up working at Metrolink, working on the marketing side of promoting a railroad and people taking the train to get to work. And then was picked up and started working at LAX here about 6 months ago.
Terrific. God, you're a Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Stephanie, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, born and raised in Southern California, grew up in Orange County and never left. Went to college at Long Beach State, was a track and field athlete on the team
neat.
there, and got a bachelor's degree in communications and a master's in sport management.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then spent the majority of my career working in sports PR. I spent about 8 years working at UCLA, working with the football team there. And
just football?
Football and some other sports, track, swimming, and diving, but primarily with football.
All right.
And then I kind of switched gears and got out of sports and started working at the airport a few years ago. Joined the airport as a community relations team member, working in PR there.
Neat.
And when Mark came on board in June, I moved over to assist him.
And we are the LAMP communications team.
Yes.
You are it, huh? You are the light?
We are the team that promotes it.
Oh my gosh. Probably nobody's ever said you're the light to you before. Okay. All right. We did a quick little Facebook Live prior to going on the air, but one of the things that maybe people do or don't realize, to be honest with you, living here my entire life, growing up by Mines Field, which was the original airport, which we determined now was in 1930 when the airport. I wasn't here then, just so you can be clear. I'm not that preserved. But in 1949, I guess it was renamed LAX, and I was here. Anyway, but what I was going to ask you, see, I distract myself, and that is, busy. So if any of you have ever been to the airport, you know we have a busy airport. I didn't realize until I did a little bit of searching myself that we're not the busiest airport in the U.S. It's Atlanta. Oh boy, did they have a problem yesterday, huh?
Small
They
problem.
sure
Just
did.
a small problem that just and the trickling down effect of how that affects every single airport is pretty dramatic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, has that ever happened at LAX where they've just lost power? Where they just, do you know?
We've had problems like that in the
Uh-huh.
past. Their shutdown was for 11 hours. So they're the number one airport in the country because they are a hub airport.
I see.
So a lot of the flights go there to transfer to other airports.
Right.
So they had a lot of backup, and we had a few cancellations and delays from that here at the airport. But I don't know if we've had anything that bad.
Right.
Not that extensive.
And we're
And
a
for that duration.
And we're a very big international airport too. I think, according to what I read, we're the fourth busiest international airport as well, right?
Correct.
So, and it's just, like I said, I've lived here my entire life. And when we go into the parking lot behind the studio and you're seeing these enormous airplanes land, it's still breathtaking to me. And when you see them, vectoring or whatever it is that they do out there, when I was a little kid and we'd be traveling at night, traveling east, and you could just see lights and lights and lights and lights and lights. And the goal was to count how many planes are getting ready to land, because there are a lot of runways and people can land as far north and as far south. And, it's a huge airport. And, getting in and out of the airport clearly is an issue. Believe it or not, when traffic was not such a demand, I could literally leave my house, take somebody to Southwest, turn around, and get home in 20 minutes round trip. Cut through so you're not going all the way around. There's been so many changes. What's gone on in the airport. In just sort of a nutshell, before we take our first break, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about the goals of LAMP. I'd like to know, because we're going to be talking quite a bit about that. So what's the essence of your program? When did it start?
The program began, we started to go through environmental work in 2015, 2016.
Oh, so it's relatively
And-
new.
And developing the environmental as well as starting the procurement processes for many of the components. So yeah, it is essentially relatively new, and it's all designed to relieve congestion in and around the airport. So that's our ultimate goal.
So if contractors are looking to be part of that process, do they go through your office or do they go through somebody else?
It would be through the Los Angeles it's called LABAVN.com, and that's the Los Angeles portal for businesses to look for work at any LA city department.
Because I think that's important for people to note. You are really who employs you?
We are employed by Los Angeles World Airports, which is a proprietary department from the city of Los Angeles.
Okay, so you're city employees, correct?
Correct.
All right. And just a little bit of the background. So within the LAWA, which is how people say that, there are two airports. Do I have that correct? The one in Los Angeles and the other one is in Van Nuys.
Right, which is a general aviation airport.
What do you mean by general aviation?
So general aviation is a lot of corporate jets. You have propeller planes, so private pilot area where they store their planes, take off from there. So you're not looking at the big jumbo jets that you see at LAX.
You know what? I was just there. I just made that connection. I was in Van Nuys, for a fundraiser for the YMCA, and we were in one of those hangars that was there, and it was really cool. But so you're right, this is not passenger driven, correct? It's if you have a private jet because you're somebody rich and famous.
Or a propeller plane, so the
Oh,
small
okay.
lightweight aircraft.
All right, different from Santa Monica Airport, or different from, right?
Similar to Santa Monica and
Okay,
Hawthorne.
on Hawthorne.
They have an entire propeller park that they just built, where they have new hangars for propeller planes, and they're also building a new jet aviation facility area. So you're going to see a lot more corporate jets taking off from there.
Oh, that's interesting. But you also have propeller people, airplanes that leave from LAX as well.
I don't know if
Or
they're
not too
necessarily
many.
propeller, but we do
No.
have the smaller,
Those small, like
corporate jets.
those small Learjet airlines that you see.
If you're here during the Grammys or
Right.
award season, it's usually pretty backed up with those kind of little planes.
Celebrity people on the very, very south side of the airport. Am I
Right, the west side off
Uh-huh.
Imperial.
Right, off of Imperial.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You do see that. Well, and not only, there's been so many changes made just in this last 6 months or so, actually relocating terminals at the airport, hasn't there?
Yes.
It's been ginormous.
Yeah, we had Delta move from the west side of the airport to the east side.
Right.
So they took over 2 and 3. And one thing that did for our airport was kind of balance it out, because we had Delta, American, and United all on one side of the terminal
Exactly.
area. So now you have Delta moved over. And with that move is a lot of remodeling that will be going on, that Delta will take on redoing Terminal 3. And then we'll have a connection between Terminal 3 and Tom Bradley Terminal. So if
Uh-huh.
you're behind security, you can get from one terminal to the
no
next.
kidding. Oh, that's
So,
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And that Bradley building, that's a beautiful building. And Frank, honestly, if you actually were to look just at how the airport has changed just physically with the lighting that they've done now, that is beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, the light band around the terminal loop really brings a cohesion to the airport that was missing before. And with the lights, it all kind of just ties it together. And we're going to plan to do more of that as we get into LAMP.
I think it's very modern. It gives you a feeling that this is like a modern airport, you know. I don't mind nostalgia. I think nostalgia is great, and I think the LAX sign with the snowflakes is cool, and the big, you know, the big lighted
Pylons.
the pylons, you know, is really great. It's iconic. But the modernization that's going on, and it's terrific, and I'm sure it's kind of an exciting part to be in. Where do you park? Do you park in like lot C or something, and walk and take a Uber to work? I mean, where do you park?
There's a couple of administration buildings outside of LAX on Century
Oh, okay.
that we park in. That's where our offices are.
Oh, so do you just oh, so your offices are located there?
Yes.
So you're not really physically having to go into the airport itself.
Not unless we have a meeting.
I see.
Yeah.
Well,
There are
that,
meetings that we have there, but our primary offices are on Century,
are you on the post office side or the other side?
the post office side.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So over there, so where cargo goes then oftentimes over in that area. Oh, that's very convenient. So you just go on it like at Airport Boulevard? Is that where your offices are?
It's near the Sheraton.
Okay. Oh, even so you are what is that?
98th Street.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I lived on 99th Street. I'm pretty familiar with the area. Well, I think this is going to be very interesting because I am really people movers. I mean, that sounds like here's Georgia. I mean, you know, we're the airport has to stay modern and updated to move. What I read, 80.9 million people in 2016.
And we're on track for 84 million this year.
That's a lot of bodies to go through the airport. Truly. Oh my gosh. So
That's what an international city does.
You bet. We are so
Draws
cool.
people. We are so
that's why
fortunate.
That's why In-N-Out Burger is so popular, because people love going there right after they get off their airplane. We're going to take a short break. This is one of my all-time favorite bands. This is Fleetwood Mac.
I love
Is it your?
Fleetwood Mac.
Oh,
I
me
love
too.
Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, me too. So this is Go Your Own Way, which is kind of like what we're going to be talking about today. How can you go your own way when you're at LAX? So stay tuned, everybody. We're going to take a short break with Mark and Stephanie, and Alex is in the house, and Richard's on the board, and it's December. People have their people, I should know better than to say people got. People have their Christmas decorations up, and it's a joyous time. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back right after this short break.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Marsha Wietecha inviting you to join me every Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific, for Marsha's Music Shuffle. My show features music from the 60s and beyond, bringing you artists and songs that touch us in so many ways with lyrics, rhythm, and voices. Put your dancing shoes on and join me every Monday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific, for Marsha's Music Shuffle, exclusively on latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Hi, this is Marsha Wietecha inviting you to join me every Monday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for Born to Talk, where conversations plus connections equals community. This is the heart of my show each week as my guests share their stories, from nonprofits, authors, sports figures, travel experts, and much more. If you have a story to tell, I want to share it. Don't forget to tune in to Born to Talk every Monday, 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. And you can watch live on Facebook and Twitter. If you missed the live show, check out my website, borntotalkradioshow.com, where you can watch on demand. Born to Talk every Monday, 1 p.m. Pacific, where conversations plus connections equals community. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Regrets collect like old friends, here to relive.
Okay. I love it when I ask my guests, so what do you love to listen to, right? I already had this on my playlist too. This is a great band. You know, as much as I'm a classic rocker. So this is Florence and the Machine, and it's Shake It Out. And what's what we're gonna do now? We're gonna shake it out. We're gonna talk about LAMP and what it's really, what the aims are. And I know we're gonna have some renderings of the plans that they're gonna be shown in this section of our show. So I'm going to go to you, Stephanie, first, and I'm going to. I'm curious to know: have you broke ground yet? Because you're relatively new to this, right? The program.
We have not broken ground yet. The plan is to break ground this summer. We're currently in the bid process for several components of the project. The People Mover train, we're hoping to make a recommendation in January
Nice.
on the team we want to build it. We're building this project as a P3 project, which is a public-private partnership, which means that the developer team, they design, they build, they finance, and then they operate and maintain the project. And we basically, once they've handed it over to us for it to be operated, then that's when we start paying them back.
I see.
So it's a skin in the game process for the designer, and it helps get projects like this moving. It's one of the biggest infrastructure projects in the state and the first one to be done in this format in LA. So we're excited about that format. So we'll break ground in the summer with the People Mover train, and then going with the other parts of the project.
It's pretty significant, the public-private partnership portion of this. You know, we've been talking about this nationally to do more projects using a P3 model, and we have two that are happening right here in our own backyard.
Which are?
So that's the CONRAC, which is the Consolidated Rent-A-Car Facility, which we're consolidating all of our rent-a-car facilities into one place, one location. So
Let
it
me
makes it much
interrupt
more
that.
convenient for people
Yes.
to get to.
So, for instance, if you drive down Airport Boulevard, there are rental car places. If you drive down 90, what is it, by Neutrogena, whatever that street is there, I think that's where Enterprise
96,
is.
I think.
Like
yeah.
maybe 90 or Blanca. It's
Blanca,
Blanca.
yeah.
It's exactly where it is. It's Blanca. So is it the intention that some of those rental car places will all ultimately be housed in one place?
Yes, all 23 that have an agreement with the airport.
Whoa, that's a
So
lot.
you're going to see all of those shuttle vans that used to go into the terminal area. taken out, and so you're going to see a change in the curb space is freeing up, and all those rental car companies now will be in one centrally housed area.
It's about 25% of the traffic that comes through LAX is people renting cars.
Sure.
So imagine all of that curb space, 25% of it being freed up because people who want to rent a car will get on the people mover and go all the way to a consolidated rent-a-car facility, and then they'll rent their car there. So it's way more convenient, way more reliable.
Sure.
And we would love to have had this built yesterday.
Absolutely. Part of that involves Manchester Square, correct? I had Christina Miller on, who also works at LAWA, a couple of weeks ago, talking about the homeless situation that is in Manchester Square. That's, as people that have listened to my shows and know something about me, that is where I grew up. That I lived on 99th Street. And I work with an organization called Share Hope USA that's very near and dear to me, and we've been feeding the homeless in that section of Manchester Square. That is airport property. And I believe now what I just read in the local Argonaut, that January is sort of the time where even on 94th and 95th Street, they're going to be moved along. And hopefully they all find some suitable housing or a place to be. Once they're gone, and I think there's maybe 2 or 3 houses left in that whole community now, then is that the area where you are going to have all of these rental cars located, is in Manchester Square?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly the location for the consolidated rent-a-car facility.
And then a people mover, for people that don't, here's, okay. When I think of people mover, now I got to tell you, it's been about 20 years. I think of Disneyland. Okay, because didn't they have something called a people mover?
It's a monorail, yeah.
It's like a monorail. Is that, if you're conceptualizing something like that, is that sort of what we're talking about?
It's very similar, yes. What we're doing, it'll also be elevated, so there'll
Okay.
be no at-grade crossings, so that makes the thing run reliable. It's from end to end. It'll be a 10-minute run, and it'll be a train at every station every 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh, you can imagine.
And if you're renting a car, the rental car center is right off the 405 freeway. So if you're ending your trip, starting your trip, you have easy access just to pop
That's
onto the freeway and get on
tremendous.
your way.
Because, getting around the area, if you're renting a car and then you got to find your place to return your car,
Right.
can be confusing because they're all over.
And then you have to get gas first and all of that. When you said it's elevated, okay. So
It's an elevated guideway, yes.
So my immediate thought is, but baggage is downstairs. So if you have just landed at LAX and you've gone and you've picked up your baggage at whatever terminal you're in, then are you going to then be directed to go back upstairs to get on the people mover? Is that how that's going to work?
There'll be elevators, escalators, moving sidewalks. I mean, this is going to
Wonderful.
be built for convenience as well as completely ADA accessible.
Oh, and isn't that perfect?
Mm-hmm.
And so, frankly, if you're a person that is just here for a quick business trip and all you've got is your backpack and you're not going down to luggage and you just need to get a car because you have a meeting downtown and you don't want to do Uber, then you just get on your people mover and off you go. How
Exactly.
terrific is that? Okay, is that free?
100% free.
Oh,
Free.
you
24/7.
Aren't you glad I asked that question?
If you want to drop, you're taking, say, your daughter to college
Yes.
and she has a flight to catch, you can park at one of our parking facilities that we're building, hop on the train with her, go take her to TSA, say goodbye from pre-security, and you can go back to your car.
without having to even do the rental car.
So that 20-minute
Oh my
trip that you mentioned
gosh.
earlier,
Yes.
it'll be very, very likely because you can drop off and pick up from one of the remote stations. We're building 6 stations. 3 will be on
Really?
the inside of the terminal area, and 3 will be on the outside. So you could pick up and drop off from one of those, and it gives you a time-certain
No
access into
kidding.
the airport.
Is that pickup area that you're talking about? Obviously, it needs to be somewhere near a people mover. So does that mean not only is there going to be rental car places there, but there's going to be public parking there as well.
Yes,
It's a really big space, I must say. I
Yeah.
mean, it was my community.
The rental car center will be at the end or beginning of the line, depending on how you look at it. We'll have another station, which will be where the 96 and Aviation Metro rail station will be. And then the final station outside of the terminal area will be where our intermodal transportation facility, another governmental name. Yes. It's a large parking structure.
Wonderful.
So that's
With-
where people can drop off, pick up as well.
Wow.
It's called intermodal because it allows for people to be picked up, dropped off. Bus operators can pick up and drop off there. So you can have municipal bus operator lines, commuter bus lines. That's why it's interoperable.
Okay, so one of the interesting things that happens in this community is the Uber Lyft group of people. They're everywhere. So will they actually have a place where they can just literally park and provide that kind of service, or not necessarily?
Well, they'll have access to pick up and drop off at these facilities
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
I mean, Uber and Lyft is wildly popular here in Los Angeles. And it's a convenient way for people to pick up and drop off. So they can pick up and drop off at any one of those remote stations.
Are you going to still have taxi service as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways for people to get around.
It gives people options.
Absolutely.
That's what we all want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's going on over at the International Building in the Tom Bradley Building? Is there more going on in that specific area?
There sure is. We have a large project going on right now, which we're adding 12 gates to Tom Bradley International. It's a concourse.
Okay.
So we have 2 underground tunnels from Tom Bradley that'll lead you to this 12-gate concourse. Essentially, for our international travelers, sometimes planes will need to be parked at remote gates and then bust.
Yes.
And what we're trying to do is elevate the customer experience and the guest experience by having this connection where you pull right up to a facility, you get off, and then you can get through customs.
Is that the
be on your way.
Middlefield satellite concourse that we're talking?
Midfield satellite concourse.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, it's just an extension of Tom Bradley.
And so would they? So are they going to have the customs? Are you going to? Is that going to be? Are you going to have more than one place for customs, or are you going to?
It'll all be through Tom Bradley.
It'll all be through
This is
Tom
just an
Bradley.
extension of Tom Bradley, essentially.
So just today, just a couple of hours before I came to the studio, my nephew was flying to Shanghai on United. And I said, "You're not going out of Tom Bradley. You're going out of the regular United." I said, "I wonder how that all works with passports and all of that stuff." So you can really take international flights and not go through Bradley. Is that correct?
That's correct. I flew in April to London out of Terminal 2, and when I came back, went through customs in Terminal 2. So several of our terminals do have customs operations.
That's interesting. You went out of Terminal 2. What airline was that? Virgin?
It was Virgin. Yeah.
You know, I did too.
Yeah.
That's when I went to Heathrow on my way to
That's where I went.
to Africa.
Yeah.
I went through Terminal 2, but we came back, and we were in that way west end of the parking area by Bradley off of Imperial. And, you know, sometimes, you know, the blessing of coming in early is you come in early. The non-blessing of coming in early is the gate's not prepared for you because you came in too early, right? I mean, that is certainly sometimes.
And that's why we're adding 12 more gates
There you
because
go.
of issues like that.
Gosh, what other projects are coming on? Is there anything? Those are the major ones that are happening, the midfield and the lamp, but. We secured the Olympics for 2028, didn't we? What is that going to do to the airport?
Well, American Airlines is looking at redoing their terminals.
Oh, they are.
They are. And Delta will be going through that as well. So we're going to have some renovations that will occur on both those sections of terminals, as well as making the connection between 1 and 2, Terminal 1 and 2, with a Terminal 1.5. So that's actually getting started now, actually.
Wow.
And the Olympics, we're the gateway to the world. And having the Olympics in 2028, we know that everybody most likely will fly through LAX airport. So it's important for us to
be prepared,
welcome them and be prepared. And we have a lot, we want to show that we're a gold standard airport. And as we welcome these athletes competing for the gold medal, that it's a great place to visit.
You bet. There's going to be some patience is going to be required though in this process. Construction does have its issues. I mean, I know just Southwest, you could used to be able to just turn that corner and park right there, and you couldn't because there's construction going on. So people are going to have to be prepared when they're going to the airport to know that you may have to allow for some extra time. But I think you do a wonderful job. I get emails regularly from LAX, and people can really be updated on what's going on at the airport, right?
Right. And we also just launched a new website, flylax.com, which is our passenger-facing website, and you can go on and find out which parking structures are full.
Nice.
You can basically find out, I want to navigate from Terminal 1 to Terminal 7. How do I get there? And it's a very user-friendly website that you can use on a mobile device. Now it fits the mobile device as well as a desktop. But we just launched it, and we're getting really good numbers. People seem to go to it and like the information we're providing. And we list all the restaurants you can go to, how to get around, where there's ground transportation. So it's definitely a great place and a good resource for travelers.
And not only that, but some people, if they're depending upon where they're coming in from, may just want to sleep over before they continue on the rest of their flight to wherever it is they're going. And hotels are very close. I mean, you can, depending upon how sturdy you are, you can walk out of the airport to a hotel that's right across the street if you choose. So I think that, say the name of the website one more time.
It's flylax.com.
Okay, perfect. So that's a really good hint, because one of the cool things, my buddy Alex is sitting here in the studio with us, and he's in from Switzerland, and people do listen to this show, whether they're my neighbors right here in Westchester that are part of some of the organizations that are volunteers at the airport. We're going to talk about that in our next segment. Or you're flying in from Switzerland. Alex just took a friend back to the airport last night. Was he going back to Switzerland? And it would be really handy to be able to know that you can go to a site like this and see how to be prepared. You have everything there. I mean, weather, delays, all kinds of things. You
can check your flight.
Yeah.
Check a terminal map.
We're so, I don't want to say dependent, but in some ways, I mean, you don't have to be dependent, but the reality is to have that technology available so that if you're living here in Westshore, it's no big deal. You got a little traffic going down to Sepulveda, but if you're coming in from the valley or you're coming in from Orange County and you didn't anticipate some of this traffic, I'm the person that get me there an hour early if you need to. Don't get me there 15 minutes before I'm ready to board, because you don't know. Maybe you got it pre-TSA, maybe you didn't. Yeah. You don't know, and maybe you realize, oh shoot, I didn't realize that was in my luggage, and I can't put that through the screen. There's not everybody travels all the time. Some people don't travel all that frequently. Some of us travel regularly, so you have to be prepared for both kinds of passengers, don't you? Mm-hmm. But the renderings of what you're looking to do, they are so beautiful. I mean, that's really going to like you say, elevate, no pun intended. It's going to really elevate what's going to go on, and it's going to go to all of those terminals. And the new tunneling that you've described sounds like a really excellent part too,
Yeah, there's some really great videos as well on YouTube as well as Facebook, where you can see what the new concourse is going to look like, as well as the Landside Access Modernization Program. So you get a complete flyover of what the train route would be.
That's great. Oh my gosh, I love that. There's nothing holding. There's nothing holding.
Exactly.
Don't you love this song?
I do.
I do too.
We are moving forward.
We are moving forward. We are people moving forward. We sure are. No, we'll just pun away here. We're going to take another break, everybody, but stay tuned. We'll be back with Mark and Stephanie after this quick break.
I love it when you go crazy. You take all my inhibitions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. You take me places that tear up
We
my
know there are many
reputation.
choices of internet radio, and the staff and hosts of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Del Lady Jones, and I'm a certified relationship and divorce coach.
And I'm Debbie Carlin Boyle, a certified personal trainer, fitness instructor, and health coach.
Join us on Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific, for Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, Soul, and everything in between, exclusively on LA Talk Live.
Become part of the conversation with expert guests discussing life-changing topics such as relationships, divorce, longevity, parenting challenges, dating, intimacy, and so much more.
We would love to hear your opinions and questions, either on our Facebook page or by calling us directly at 323-473-3100. We are Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, Soul, and everything in between. Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, and now live on Facebook, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. And now on our YouTube channel, Del and Debbie Mind, Body, Soul. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Okay. Don't Stop Believing. This is the Glee cast version of that song.
Love it.
Don't you want to
Love
just want to do like
course.
just do karaoke right now?
Yes.
I can
If
sing.
I could sing.
Well, me too. If I could only sing, in my mind I can sing, but in reality, probably not so much.
I can't at all.
We can't. Well, now let's focus on our passenger experience, because, like I said, I like to get to the airport early. Some of the experiences, and I'll just use Terminal 1 as an example, there's been a lot of changes. It's like, okay, shoot me. You know, what happened
Hardly
to
recognizable.
Well, but like, where did McDonald's go? Okay, well, McDonald's is gone. Okay, so you're gonna have to make another plan. Well, there's several Starbucks. You know, I know where those are located. You realize that you forgot your pillow, and you want to go and buy a pillow. You want to buy a book. I mean, and there is dining in there. I mean, there is places.
Well, we wanted to bring the flavor of LA into the airport.
There you go.
That's what we started to do.
Well, so I think we should talk about that. So, if our listeners, you talked about the website that people could go to. Does that give every by terminal? So in each terminal, you would see what is being offered there?
Yeah, you can find dining options, retail options, parking options, what airlines in each terminal, wayfinding. That's all on our website. But you also can always go to our social media channels. So our Instagram and our Twitter handle is at FlyLAX Airport. And then our Facebook is LA International Airport. And we constantly post updates when
Wonderful.
there's traffic issues, parking, or new restaurants that are opening, new stores. We highlight that on our social media channels as well. And one other way that people can stay up to date with us is if you go to our Facebook page, we do have a subscribe button where you can subscribe to our email mailing list.
Nice.
And that's when we can send out all of the exciting news about what's opening, what new airline just took off, like Hong Kong Airlines just launched today. So signing up to our email list is another great way to stay informed.
That's terrific. Did you want to add something, Mark?
Yeah, I was just wanting to comment on some of the new restaurants
Yes.
and things. So we've had the famous Shake Shack, which
Okay.
everyone loves and has lots of attention about.
Where is it located?
That one's in T3.
Okay.
And it's quite popular. There's also one of the most popular Panda Expresses. It's probably the affordable option at the airport. We have a food truck craze with having a food truck vendor in there, as well as Barney's Beanery. Those are the LA flavor that we
You
wanted
bet.
to bring to.
Where's
the
Panda?
airport.
I didn't.
Panda's in Tom Bradley.
Okay. All right. That's
That's actually
great.
one
Very
of the
popular.
most visited Panda Expresses in the world.
Isn't that something? Well, for those of us that have lived here forever and really want to have a really cool airport experience, do they still have the restaurant on? It's
The
gone, huh?
Encounter.
The Encounter is no longer a restaurant. That was so cool because it rotated and everything.
But we are looking. We want to put something back in the space, the theme
Wouldn't
building.
that be great?
And it's an iconic building. It's an iconic structure. It's classic mid-century modern design.
You bet.
It needs something back in there.
And
we're
the People
hoping.
Mover train will actually give you an up close look at it when you go around on your way into the terminal. So if you haven't seen it up close and from an elevated level, it's a really great view.
Absolutely. Gosh, that's neat. When you talk about innovation, I think what comes to my mind initially, like I had already mentioned, were those really cool lights. I mean, I love the way the lights look and make the airport look so modern. What are some of the other things that people could expect as far as innovation over at the airport?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think getting through security has always been one of those pain points that customers have and guests have talked about. We have implemented automated screening lanes.
Yes.
So you'll start to see more of this at airports, but we were one of the first, and that you'll be able to have more people go through security quicker because of the way that the luggage bins are shifted back, and you'll be able to unload your stuff and put it in a bin and then get it through security. So that's one thing that we're seeing more of at LAX, and you'll see that throughout, I think, the rest of the airports throughout the nation. We're also working on facial recognition. So you know how your iPhones will scan your face and then open your iPhone. So this is something that we are working on and working towards with British Airways. They're actually testing that now.
Nice.
Which is very exciting. And then we also are doing this thing called the Innovation Hangar. That's something that is more internal for employees to give innovative ideas, and then we get to rate them, comment on them, kind of a way to collaborate online, and hopefully some of these ideas will come to fruition.
That's neat.
Yeah, the goal is for them to do one or two, implement the ideas of our employees. So it really gives us a chance to be creative and really engage with our airport.
I can see you're the best ones to do it. You're there.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. But back to what you're saying, just about the ease of checking in now, because I fly Southwest a lot.
Great
and
airline.
now, you know, it's a little confusing in the beginning, but you've got your phone. Most of us have them. You've got your confirmation number. You literally punch. Next thing you know, it's spitting out a luggage tag. And then you're just dropping it off. And it has really improved how quickly you can get through that process. And are they I've been to Bradley too, but are they starting to do that at the different terminals where you can just almost check yourself in, and it's kind of taken away from your curbside? I mean, some of us just were happy to tip the sky caps. Frankly, are they going to sort of be a thing of the past in some ways, the sky caps? Or will
I think there'll still be demand for
people
that type of convenience. Yeah.
I think, honestly, your older public are always going to like that idea. Or if you're traveling with children and you've got so much stuff, or maybe you've got a guide dog or, you know, an animal that you're traveling with, and you're just trying to find some ease. It's like, let me just drop me off and let me get rid of this stuff, right?
Some people still like to have that paper ticket in hand. I know my parents won't use the app. They print everything out, and so you're still going to have that.
Yes, I imagine that's true. I mean, I'm sure that's true. Let's talk a little bit about something I am familiar with at the airport, and that's some of the volunteer opportunities, because I've been doing this show. I'm going to be 3 years in April. And as I said, I live here. And so a lot of volunteers at the airport are people from my community. I was with some of those people just last night, and they've been a guest on my show. And one of the really the ambassadors, it's such a tremendous program, is the VIPs. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So the VIP stands for the Volunteer Information Professionals, and they're the people in the red jackets you'll see assisting anyone in the airport that needs help, wayfinding, finding a terminal, or just answering basic questions. And our airport is always looking for volunteers. There are varying shifts you can work. And if you want to find out more, you can visit our website, LAWA.org, LAWA.org, and learn how you can apply to be a volunteer. And then our PUT program, which is our four-legged ambassador program for the airport, which is huge. Heidi Hubner started the program here. And
Heidi was on my show.
She is amazing, and she has grown that program to be huge. We have over 70 dogs, and they go through a process of training and being certified as therapy dogs, and you'll see them wandering around the terminals on a daily basis. Right now, they're in holiday outfits visiting with everybody.
That's so nice.
And they're just there to unstress our passengers, and it's been a really goodwill ambassador type thing for our airport, and the passengers love when they get to visit with them.
And how appropriate is it to have dogs in LA's airport? I mean, it just makes a whole lot of sense.
It sure does. And what I think is so maybe it would be obvious, but the dogs belong to the handler. These are their pets.
Yes.
And there's all different breeds, from the small ones to the big ones.
We even have cart dogs who are paralyzed.
Right. It's just so cool. And if you're an anxious flyer, and many people are, you know, just petting a dog can just bring you down just a little bit, right? You don't need to
bet.
maybe get that cup of coffee. Maybe you just need to just bring it down a little bit and have that opportunity to interact with the dogs. And the people are that have these dogs, they're just very generous as well.
Yes.
And so there is obviously a training program for that,
There is.
right?
They apply on our website, LAWA.org, as well. And yes, you have the dog spends time with Heidi, the director of the program, and she kind of sees its mentality and if it would interact well with other dogs as well. And then they have to be certified therapy dogs. And once they get that, then they start trying out in the airport and
Nice.
go from there.
Are
Yeah, we're
they-
so grateful to have that level of volunteer
You
who takes the
bet.
time to go through the training and then shows up at the airport
know.
and and engages with passengers. It's really great.
Are they only in one terminal? Where are they located?
They're in all terminals.
They are.
They have varying shifts. So it's spread out across the day, but they're with about 75 now and growing. We can spread them out a lot. And they also do a lot of community engagement. So they work at a lot of our community events that we host.
Like an example, what would be that?
So we just had a winter reception for our community members this past week, and we had several of the pups there, and they greeted our guests as they came in, and they were in holiday costumes and just got a chance to interact with everybody in the community and say hi.
That's nice. That I mean, I could see where, you know, there's a lot of people that have some extra time, you know, and maybe they live a little bit of an isolated life of some sort. And what a wonderful way to appreciate what you love, which is your animal, and then share that big doodle or whatever you've got, you know, those labradoodles or those little cocker spaniels or whatever your dogs are. To bring them in. And I know that the dogs, you know, obviously have to be very well tempered to be able to have little children run up and, you know, before you can pull them back, you know, kids on top of a dog
Right.
practically. So they have to be probably
Yes.
very well tempered dogs. But that's and you always have room for more, right?
Oh, always. Heidi's always looking for new puppies. Yes.
Yes.
Because we have so many people coming through the airport and we have so many terminals, the more dogs that can be out there interacting and calming our passengers down is a great thing.
I think the other thing, I mean, there are a lot of things when you travel. If you are computer savvy, you have your laptop, you have your cell phone, you want to have internet, you want to post to Facebook, you want to do whatever, you're texting your family to say your flight's been delayed, whatever. Like, it's really nice when you start seeing more and more charging stations around the airport. There was a time when you hardly saw that, and now that's everywhere, isn't it? Because people want to keep their computer.
And
They're
Wi-Fi is much stronger now.
right.
And covers the airport.
Right. There's a charge for though, right? I mean, there is this at the
You can
airport.
do for, 45 minutes for free.
Is that what it is? 45 for free?
Yep.
And you know, and if you want more than 45, then you pay. And that's not uncommon wherever you travel across the
Right.
country. You know, so I think that's a good way. It's becoming like, imagine what happened yesterday. Not only did the flights get delayed in Atlanta, but you know, there were people sitting on, there was no power. So, you know, that means there's no lights. There's no, I mean, I don't know. Do generators eventually come up and elevators start working and things like that?
They do have generators that come on, but to the level of charging stations, if those
Oh,
will
of
work, I
course.
don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's why I really love, just as a travel tip for people that travel, those little chargers that are like plugging it into the wall. And I keep 2 of them. And if I'm doing an international trip, I don't want to go through my entire battery life, you know, so I always keep those with me. And some airplanes now are able to allow you to charge directly while you're on your flights. I mean, you're airport people, I'm just curious. Do you do a lot of traveling yourselves?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, so where was the last place you went?
Cabo, Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. What about you?
I went to Budapest, Vienna, and Prague for Thanksgiving.
Really? Had you been there before?
I had not. So it was first time, loved it.
Wow. What
Yeah.
airline? How did you get there?
KLM through
Okay.
Amsterdam.
All right.
Yeah. And then was on a guided tour
Oh,
for the
how
rest of it.
nice.
Yeah.
We have had more than a dozen international nonstop flights launched from LAX just this year alone. And just to put that into context,
Yes.
it takes airports several years just to get one. We've had more than a dozen. And one of the largest flight leaving the United States, the longest, excuse me, is now over 18 hours, and that's to Singapore. And United launched that a couple months ago.
Okay. And isn't Southwest now also going internationally?
Yes,
And
yes.
and they're going
I
out
took
of.
Southwest to Cabo.
Oh, you did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you go into Terminal 1, and then they will bus you to Tom Bradley International.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's
Cool.
They're going all over.
Speaking of international and apps and devices and all the cool things, there's a way now where there's a passport app.
Yes, so it's called Mobile Passport. So if you don't have global entry, which I don't, because
I don't
I didn't
either.
want to spend the $100,
Right.
even though I travel a lot. They launched it earlier this year, and basically it's an app you go download from the App Store, Google Play, wherever. And basically you input your customs information. So it's an American and Canadian citizens only. So like I just went to Europe for Thanksgiving, and my mom and I traveled. I put all her information, my information in. It walks you through it. And when we came back into customs, we're walking down there, you see the long line for normal
Yes.
check-in, and then the global entry line, and then mobile passport. And we walked right up to the front, waited maybe 30 seconds, got called through, in and out of customs in less than 5 minutes.
That is so
It is the quickest way to get through
cool.
customs.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's great. And a lot of people don't know about it.
No.
And I know when I was over...
Aren't you glad
yeah.
you're listening today, everybody?
Yeah,
Little
when I was
secret.
in Europe, I was actually telling the American citizens on our trip, hey, do you know about this? Because you should try it. And a lot of people had no idea.
Mobile, it's free.
It's completely free.
Mobile passport.
Yeah.
App.
So instead
Yeah.
of filling out that little white paper they hand out on the airplanes,
You-
you don't
oh.
have to.
So really, you say I don't need that because I have this instead.
Yep, it's all in the app.
That is,
Yeah.
I'm going to be taking a cruise to Alaska with my brother and his wife and other family members in June. And we're going to be flying into Vancouver. So that's what I use.
Download the app from
Yeah.
the Google Play Store or Apple App Store, and
Yep.
Whoa.
you'll be on your way.
And the whole traveling party can go on one.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's really
It's-
cool too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
everyone doesn't
really
need to do it.
convenient.
Just the one person can do it, and they
And so
go
they-
through each one.
So what are you're inputting your password? I mean your
Passport number, expiration, name,
name.
and then you actually take a photo of each person you input. So it's like their mobile.
Oh, you're just using
passport.
your
Yep.
camera on your phone.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's amazing. We beat our luggage because we were, we made it through so fast.
That's
So
funny.
it was like, did that just happen? Did that really just take 2 minutes? Okay,
Does
I'm gonna
it-
do that from now on.
Now, sometimes on that customs thing, it asks about, what you've brought back.
It asks you those questions on the app as well.
So is that what you're filling out on the airplane or when you land, you fill that out?
You can fill everything out ahead of time. And
Really?
then once you're ready to check out, or basically right when you're at customs, you say entering, point of entry, and then that's when you submit it, basically.
So you can say, I brought back $500 worth of Cuban cigars. You can say that, right? Or you just say $120 worth of Cuban cigars, and the rest were gifts. I'm not
Exactly.
selling any of these. I don't smoke. But that's very, very
Yeah.
convenient.
It's very convenient. And if you don't want to pay the global entry, now obviously it doesn't help you when you're leaving the country,
Right.
but coming back, it makes coming through customs very easy.
Sure. And it really is, if you get the pre-TSA, and I don't know what genie up there decides who gets that and who doesn't, because not everybody does.
Right.
But that sure does make it.
If you have global entry, it gives you priority though.
So that's why you paid the $100,
yeah,
huh?
that's
Couldn't
why.
you just sort of tell? Well, I paid the $100. I didn't get that free app.
It is it is random as well, but it's
Oh,
more
yeah.
likely.
Okay, so we both agreed, all of us agreed that we love Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
Okay, I got to say, right behind them, is this group right here.
This song's amazing.
I love Queen too. All right, we're going to take a quick station break, everybody. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
To the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and hosts of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Okay, so we're back. Queen's going to just take us out, right? But you know, one show ends and the planning for the next show begins. And believe it or not, Christmas, maybe you already know this, you probably have a calendar, right? Christmas is on Monday this year. And that does that. The show goes on. Boy, I should have played a song like that. The show goes on, everybody. And you bet I'm going to have a show next week with my buddy Alex Pasquale. I'm so excited. You're going to meet my friend Alex, and you're going to learn how I've come to know Alex and why he's actually sitting in the studio with me each week. He's here from Switzerland. We're going to talk about Hanukkah. We're going to talk about Christmas. How do you do it in Switzerland? How do you do it in LA? It's going to be a great show, and I really do hope you tune in. And you know, you can follow me in a lot of different ways. Obviously, if you're watching this show, you found it some way. I'm definitely on Facebook and the Born to Talk Radio Show.com. I'm on Twitter, BORN2, the number 2 talk. You can find me there. I have a website, borntotalkradioshow.com. I blog in that place. So there's a lot of different ways you can follow along. And I hope that you tell your friends as well, because every week somebody new is here sharing their exciting story. So I'm looking forward to having Alex with me next week. But in the time we've got closing before we just say happy trails, which would always be that would be a good Sean. You guys are probably too young to remember Happy Trails with Roy Rogers. Yep. But any final thoughts you'd like to share with our guests before we say goodbye today?
Yeah, I think as we're approaching the holiday season, I think we need to just remember, no matter where you are, just is to plan ahead. Give yourself plenty of time. If you're in LA or if you're traveling to LA, we encourage people to take the Flyaway bus service.
Yes.
It is an inexpensive, nonstop route that can get you to 6 different locations throughout Southern California. It's really the way to go. It's a stress-free ride to downtown Union Station, the Valley, and 4 other locations. If there's congestion in the airport, you know, it's expected. It is the holiday season, but you can use either level, the upper level or the lower level.
Yes.
So the lower level has more lanes, which typically means it's less congested. So if you see that it's less congested, go ahead and
even though you're
that.
departing, you can go downstairs.
Absolutely.
And I can attest to Flyaway. I had a friend come in from San Diego. He just went to Flyaway at the Union Station, took a train. Flyaway took him straight over to the airport. Beautiful.
Incredibly convenient.
Very.
So, just plan ahead.
Exactly. And what about you, Stephanie? Any final thoughts that you wanted people to know about?
No, I think that the main thing is to always stay up to date on social media. If there are any issues at the airport, we'll be putting everything out on there. So Fly LAX Airport is our Twitter, and Facebook LA International Airport. And just keep checking out the website and find out and explore and visit us often.
I agree. We really do have a gem right in this community, don't we? People sometimes don't even I know I keep throwing out In-N-Out. They should be sponsoring my show. I'm hungry. But how many people will just park and just go to the grassy area of In-N-Out just to photograph these massive airplanes that are landing? It's some people, if you live, depending upon where you call home, you maybe have never not only seen the Pacific Ocean, which we fly over, but maybe you just have never seen an airport of this size. It can be very daunting. And there's those ambassadors and the friendliness and everyone that you encounter, from your curb check-in to the people at the tickets. I mean, we really are very fortunate to have this kind of airport right in our community. I really do. I'm proud.
We're connecting the world and making those relationships. So
absolutely,
we're happy to be a part of this community, Westchester especially.
You bet.
We have great neighbors.
You know, I know. I just heard another commercial in my head, but I'm not going to sing it because they're not paying to sponsor my show. So I'm not going to sing about Like a Good Neighbor. But it is a beautiful thing to have. And when you land at other airports, you kind of compare, and it's like, gosh, we do this and we have that. We have places for. Do we still have the USO? Is that still a place for our veterans?
Absolutely, and we're moving the USO into the first level of the theme building.
Oh, that'll be
exciting.
nice. Absolutely. Well, we've come to the end of our 1 hour journey. We can unbuckle our seatbelts and take our carry on and carry on. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Stephanie, so much
Thank
for
you
really.
so
Thanks
much
for having us.
Oh, it's just my absolute pleasure, truly. Happy holidays to you. Happy holidays to all of you as we go into this season. And, we look for, I think you'll need to come back at the end of next year and see where you are with LAMP and your other projects.
Well, we would love it if you would have us back.
I would enjoy it. So thank you so much, Dave, for coming here. Have a great week, everybody. Remember, that smile costs nothing. Share it, and I'll see you next week for a Merry Christmas. Bye until then.
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, and crafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.